Mark Rogers TV talking Tennessee football. This is our Vols breakdown, as you can join us on the SEC Breakdown YouTube channel for the full conversation, or pick out your particular topic of interest on Mark Rogers TV with Mike LaValle from Last Word on College Football, talking up the Vols each and every week. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Great, Mark. Thanks for having me yet again.
Of course. So Tennessee kind of leaving a window that we've addressed a number of times in regards to talent, recruiting, everything coming into play. And we've seen most of those players move on from the program. Not that there isn't still talent there, but it's almost been reflected in the expectations from the national media concerning this team here in 2017. None of the major outlets placed Tennessee in the top 25. Do you think that's pretty fair assessment of what we can expect this year?
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment, Mark. If you look, Tennessee lost 6 guys to the NFL draft this year, and on offense, all 3 of those were skill positions, 1 from each unit on the defense. If you count the Jalen Hurd departure, you probably got 7 NFL caliber players lost. The good news is that Tennessee returned some guys on the offensive line. The offensive line should be solid this year. So if you look at a national landscape, it's kind of hard for a team like Tennessee, who's trying to battle their way back up top in their division, to lose 6 players of those caliber at those positions, and still get recognized as a possible preseason top 25 team. So I think it's fair that Tennessee's not on the hype train right now, is not the media darling, not expected to win. I think it's completely fair they're not in the top 25, but I do think there's a possibility. I think Tennessee's setting up the 2017 season for Tennessee, setting up that it's one of those it's kind of hard to call. It could be a surprise season or an extremely disappointing season. A couple of games in there, it's going to make a huge difference. Vegas has the win total over under at 7.5. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are kind of preparing themselves for the worst. As I take the temperature of Vols Twitter, it seems like Vol fans are kind of preparing for the worst, almost as if the storm was coming. So it's night and day from last offseason. I can tell you that, where a lot of people were talking Vols in the playoffs, dark horse for championship team, possibly challenging Alabama. That is not the feeling around Knoxville this year, particularly after losing all that talent to the NFL, and really unsure about the depth that's coming up to replace all that talent. Running back's a question mark. We think we have 2 good quarterbacks, but they're unknown quantities. And then a lot of question marks with health on the defensive line, and then youth in the linebacker and secondary units.
Welcome to Vols Breakdown. You can catch us just about each and every week on the SEC Breakdown channel on YouTube. You can catch the individual segment topics on Mark Rogers TV, and the complete conversation as well, the audio podcast on iTunes and Podbean. Just search Mark Rogers TV. So one of the reasons why the expectations were so high last season, of course, was because it was the zenith of the fruition of those recruiting classes, playing together, being together for a substantial period of time, and 3 consecutive classes being on the same roster at the same time. It didn't work out so well in terms of meeting those expectations. Now, the overall, perception of where the program is headed now seems to be on the decline, but not necessarily if you look at the nuts and bolts of what's being accomplished on the recruiting trail.
It's interesting, Mark. If you look back to last recruiting cycle with Tennessee kind of having high expectations, that last year was Butch Jones's worst recruiting class that he brought in before the disappointing 2016 season. You look at this year, the class that's setting up for 2018. It's a very solid class, currently ranked in the top 10. A lot of good talent. Already got a 5-star and 4 4-stars. Got another good commit for a defensive back out of Florida this year. So it's strange that it seems, coming off of a disappointing season before they play the 2017 season, they're building a lot of momentum. Of course, we're still 7 months out from National Signing Day, so that all could change very quickly. But the 2018 recruiting class is shaping up to be a fairly solid class. I don't know if it's cyclical. I don't know if they're selling these young recruits on playing time. I'm not sure if the new batch of assistant coaches are just that good at recruiting, but it's kind of interesting that coming off the most disappointing season in the Jones era, they look like they're building one of the 2 or 3 best classes going into 2018. Of course, we still have to play the 2017 season and see how that goes, but it's just interesting that the recruiting success doesn't seem to be correlating with the disappointment and or the success on the field.